be compatible with what they're doing already at the base.
Right. And I'm going to take a moment to say something, ladies and gentlemen. You know,
And this is a positive development. Theoretically, it could establish some pretty good jobs.
Theoretically, it could. I do want to say something. A highly placed. I'm not going to name the position, but I am going to say what was said to me today, and I'm just going to say that I don't appreciate it. I heard about this, so as I am allowed to do as a citizen of Santa Rosa County and a citizen in good standing in the state of Florida, I exercised my Chapter 119 rights, and I asked
open records,
and I asked for a copy of this. Mm-hmm. And when it was put in my hands, this highly placed county employee proceeded to tell not only me but the person who was with me that we always go to the negative side when we're looking at something. All right, so I'm going to look in the camera, and I've got a comment for you. Because me or anyone else asks for documentation about what my government is doing with my tax dollars does not make me a negative person. I don't appreciate your comments today. I think you really need to think long and hard about making comments like that to a citizen. The person that was with me didn't appreciate those comments. And I have every right to look at this. And I'll take it a step further. There's been a lot of ballyhooing about this aviation park all the way back to 2002. And one of the things that I pointed out to this highly placed county employee was that at one time Commissioner Salter had said, Operation Bluebird is coming here. 875 high-paying jobs, over $75,000 apiece. And I looked at this county employee and I said, how did that work out for us? Well, you know, Jerry, everything doesn't always work out. I said, well, I appreciate your candor in that, but that's one of many things that we've been promised that's never worked out, and you'll just have to excuse me that I don't just immediately jump on the bandwagon and think this is going to happen. So, but there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure we will hear more about it.
We didn't have the runway then. Now that the runway agreement looks like it's going to happen, apparently the 6,000-foot runways, those are hard to come by.
Right.
So it's promising that this could produce some employment in the area.
There's a possibility.
We hope it will.
There's a possibility. But just because somebody asks a question of its government doesn't make them a negative person. And you know who said that. Okay.
Speaking of
negative people
who ask questions of the government,
I would like to, and I'm not going to give this person's name. This person will recognize this. We had another citizen, but beside myself, who apparently is getting tired of Cindy Anderson and the highly paid employees at Team Santa Rosa of calling people names that disagree with them.
Yeah, let's clarify. We've come across a number of emails where they've called people names who have asked for
absolutely
records and things like that from them.
And so this citizen took it upon himself.
And it wasn't you.
And it wasn't
or
me. This citizen took it upon himself. Sent a nice email to Miss Anderson, and I want to read a little bit of it. One of the things that I found interesting, he says, while it is true that the county outsources the function of economic development to Team Santa Rosa, it is very different from being a county contractor. County contractors are organizations who do not let the county place members on their boards. They are also private or publicly held for-profit organizations who make their living from providing services. Now here's the sentence that I love. Team Santa Rosa's goals are not to make a living from county funding.
Good luck with that one.
Then he goes on to say, I am disappointed that you continue to use terms like Boo Bears. That is a disrespectful way of dealing with those of us who are agreeing with the county attorney, the state attorney's office, and other citizens who believe that a change is necessary for the continued growth of Santa Rosa County. Those changes include, but are not limited to, bringing the Economic Development Group within the Sunshine Laws. Thought that was quite insightful.
Yes.
He also believes that Team Santa Rosa should follow the Sunshine Law. He goes on to say, it's a pretty lengthy email.
Yes, it is.
I ask that you discontinue treating those of us who do not agree with the status quo as boo bears or people who are against county growth. We are simply trying to open the economic development process to greater transparency. There are so many other great counties in this country who operate directly under the county government, are able to deal with organizations without having to reveal the company's name and still deliver great value for their dollar. So, I certainly appreciate that.
Another disgruntled customer.
Another disgruntled customer. You are absolutely right. So
Here's what irritates me, or concerns me, I should say, is that we just have found, since they've been told by, Team Santa Rosa was told by the governor, your meetings are supposed to be open to the public. Since that time, we've found emails where they're trying to get around that, they're trying to get help from other public, private, mostly.
I am glad that you bring
Public
this
funded.
up, Deborah, because in my hands right here, I just happen to have the 2 emails that you're talking
Oh,
about.
outstanding.
And look, ladies and gentlemen, once again, as a citizen of Santa Rosa County and a citizen of the state of Florida, I have the right. Chapter 119 says I can look at your emails. And so we exercise that, and we have those emails. Ladies and gentlemen, this is from Ed Gray, the chairman of Team Santa Rosa, who is also the chairman of the Santa Rosa County School Board. Despite my opinion that is shared by many that our economic development activities may be impaired, I have asked team staff to notice our meetings and therefore open them to attendance by persons other than those duly elected by team membership. Well, let's look at that a moment, Deborah. He seems to be very upset by the fact.
What's the date on this?
This one is April the 17th.
Okay, right after the governor's office called.
Now, this is the line here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a continuing theme with this organization. If we find enough basis in the future to overturn this action due to statutory interpretations that side with economic development that clearly involve the private sector and private organizations such as TEAM, we can change our procedures. Unfortunately, the staff has recently learned the Governor's Office of Open Government is about to announce its opinion and all EDCs in the state should conform with the Sunshine Laws. Now, let's chew on that one for a minute, Deborah.
Well, let's start with the fact that he's wallowing in his self-definition as a private entity.
Right.
Of course, we know 96% of their funding comes from
Yes.
my pocket and your pocket.
That, ladies and gentlemen, that's the easiest thing to clear up. And let me say this. I'm going to say it on camera this time. I've said it plenty of times amongst friends. I'm going to say it on camera. The day that Ed Gray, Cindy Anderson, and all of the entire Team Santa Rosa fund everything they do, pay the rent on their building, buy the paper for their copy machine, pay the phone bill, the power bill, and the water bill,
the car allowance.
the car allowance, and their health, their dental insurance, their eye insurance,
the trips to Europe.
the trips to Europe. When you guys fund all of that, then you can go someplace and have a private meeting with the shades pulled down and do whatever you want to. But until you fund yourself,
Actually, they can't
well,
because they're still performing government functions.
on the dollar side,
Don't worry, it's not going to happen anyway.
until you fund yourself, I don't want to hear it. Your meetings are going to be open, and we are going to look at your records.
And we should look at their records.
There's another name in this one that I really enjoy. Upon this being announced, coupled with the few but persistent persons locally who are on a mission to change how TEAM operates.